Coming up on the second hour of American Sunrise, Portland in the hot seat. President Trump has ordered troops to Portland, authorizing full force if necessary to protect ICE facilities under attack. The president calls the city war-ravaged as protests target immigration detention centers. Oregon leaders now suing to block the president's order. We'll have more. Plus, shutdown politics. Congress just one day actually away from the September 30th deadline to fund the government. Lawmakers still deadlocked as a high-stakes Oval Office meeting awaits later today. We're going to break that down. And who faces the blame, what happens if a shutdown occurs, and how this could impact Americans across the country. And a deadly shooting rocked a Mormon church in Michigan. Authorities say a gunman opened fire, started during a service. It left 4 people dead and so many more injured. 100 FBI agents on the scene and searching for a motive. Those details and more as the second hour of American Sunrise starts right now. Good morning, America.
Welcome to American Sunrise.
Whether it's culture,
we have breaking news to share with you.
Politics.
President Trump is joining us live now from Florida.
We've got you covered.
This is what it looks like to be a patriot.
We have to protect the American family.
The American dream is still alive.
I'm David Brody.
I'm Terrence.
And I'm Dr. Gina.
Welcome back, everybody, to the second hour of American Sunrise. I'm David Brody, coming to you from the deep state. Let's bring in Dr. G in West Palm, T. Bates in our Denver newsroom. Good morning to both of you. Don't take this as being rude, but we've got so much to get to that I can't even chit-chat. I think it's time we just get right to it. So, T. Bates, it's a busy day at the White House. You take it away, sir. Good morning to both of you.
Oh, it is a super busy day at the White House, David. In fact, a story that we've been watching for weeks now. Congress just a day away now from the September 30th deadline to fund the government or face a shutdown. Lawmakers are still deadlocked, though, and if they fail to reach an agreement, many federal agents could shut down here in short order. Let's go right to the White House, where Chief White House Correspondent Brian Glenn is standing by. Brian, there's so much happening there. Typically, we would be talking about Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu visiting the White House. That would be our top story. But there's so much else happening there that even Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, it's my understanding, came out just a little while ago and talked to reporters just to update you on what to expect today.
Yeah. Good morning, Terrence. So I know the Republicans have a conference call scheduled for 11:15. Then later, Democrat leaders will be at the White House meeting with President Trump to discuss this looming shutdown. But just moments ago, Caroline Leavitt stepping in front of a gaggle of reporters and basically updated and said, look, this is the same CR that Democrats had no problem voting on time after time again. President Trump does not want a government shutdown, but if in fact that happens, that solely lies on the responsibility of the Democrats as they are trying to actually extend some of these health care benefits is what they want for illegals. That's one of the things they want inserted into, or I should say, one of the reductions of the health care is to do with funding health care for illegals. But the showdown continues, and if you look at what this looked like years ago, we had a 34-day government shutdown that was all basically the famous video of Schumer and President Trump squaring off in the Oval Office about funding the border wall. Well, today it's just let's get this government, let's keep it open. And Russ Vought has been instructed and he has told agencies, Terrence, that if we do in fact have a shutdown, to prepare for mass firings in response to that.
Hey, Brian, keep your cell phone close because I promise you I'll be calling you at some point in time today, and you and I will be talking again today at some point because it's such a busy day there at the White House. Thanks, Brian.
Got that. Thanks, Terrence.
All right, Brian. All right, folks, it is now time for a quick weather update. Joining us now is Weather Nation meteorologist Tracy Anthony. And Tracy, you are at the beach today, and I'm just going to say one word, Imelda. That's why you're at the beach.
Yeah, you know, Imelda bringing us this nice weather. The rain continues, but the silver lining with Imelda is this storm system is tracking farther to the east. So the tropical storm watches for Florida have been dropped. And we're just expecting impacts along the coastal areas. So we're expecting rain like this, but we're also expecting some breezy conditions for the next 48 hours as we do still have kind of that wind field associated with Imelda. That's going to cause the waves to roll on shore very aggressively. I don't know if you can see behind me, but we do have a handful of people out here surfing. So the beaches are a very dangerous spot right now and even tomorrow, as they're going to be out. The waves are going to be up to about 10 feet, and offshore the waves getting up to about 12 feet. And rip currents, extremely dangerous along the east coast of Florida, but this really stretches all the way up to North Carolina. So even though this storm is staying offshore, we're still going to feel some of the impacts along the coastline. So we're out here covering it for you guys.
All right. Thank you, Tracy. Imelda, by the way, the 9th named storm of this year. Tracy, we appreciate the reporting. We'll check back with you later on. All right, folks, let's get you back over to David Brody now. David, good morning.
Good morning, T. Bates. On a busy Monday morning, President Trump announcing Saturday morning over the weekend that he's sending troops to Portland, Oregon after days of anti-ICE protests rocked the city and all those people on their bicycles. On Truth Social, he said he's directed the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, to deploy troops to protect Portland and ICE facilities under attack by Antifa and other domestic terrorists. Well, joining us now to discuss what this move means and the response that we're seeing from the left is former Reagan policy advisor, author, filmmaker Dinesh D'Souza. He's got a lot more titles, but we don't have all day. Dinesh, good morning to you, sir. 200 or so troops apparently going to Portland. I guess they're going to have to beware on their bicycles over there. The president, Dinesh, says Portland has become war-ravaged and that troops are needed to protect ICE facilities under attack. So what do you think? I mean, do you see this as a necessary step, or is the left going to try to spin this as federal overreach? I'm sorry, that seemed rhetorical, but good morning to you.
Well, good morning. I think that this is necessary because we are not dealing with a temporary eruption from these radical activists that is just, over a particular incident. It's going to blow over. Tempers will cool. We're all tempted to look at things that way, but these guys have been at it for months and in some cases even years. They feel like they control the city and they function at night. So the mayor, the governor, they'll post photos and go, oh, look how peaceful it is here in Portland. And they show a picture of like a waterfall or a pool. Everything looks very placid. But that's because Antifa sleeps during the day. Then they put on masks and uniforms. And by the way, these are guys who go to combat training. They're very shrewd in figuring out how to play the system. They know that the local Democratic officials are on their side. So this is not simply some external gaggle of, as you say, bicycle wielding protesters. This is a kind of domestic terrorist operation, a kind of gang that is in cahoots with the ruling Democratic Party in Portland and in the state.
Dinesh, I'd love to get your reaction to President Trump taking the fight directly to George Soros, who, of course, has bankrolled the radical left for decades, also very likely bankrolled Antifa and similar groups. Your thoughts?
Soros is, in some ways, well, he's known to be a brilliant investor, and he has, in a sense, extended his venture capitalism into left-wing activism. And he does it not directly. You'll never see a check. George Soros, $100,000 made out to Antifa. Not like that. It goes through layers upon layers upon layers. It goes through middlemen. It goes through NGOs. It goes through nonprofit organizations. So you need a kind of investigative apparatus to trace this money. Some kind of a RICO case, I think, against Antifa that implicates all the organizations that fund it, all the political entities that support it. This would be, I think, very valuable. It would produce a lot of information, and it would also show precisely where the lawbreaking is occurring.
Well, Dinesh, before we let you go, we want to hear all about your new film, The Dragon Prophecy. Takes viewers from the events of October 7th to the Middle East today. This links history, gives current events and Bible prophecy. Let's take a quick look first, though, at the trailer.
God's word stands firm.
The
dragon dragon will not prevail.
Your message here is become a dragon slayer.
Based on Jonathan Cahn's #1 international bestseller, The Dragon's Prophecy.
Dinesh, what message do you hope audiences take away with them, and how does this film call people to action?
It integrates, people sometimes say that underneath our political war is a cultural war, and beneath that a moral conflict, and beneath that a kind of spiritual war. This film brings it all together: the politics, the biblical perspective, the archaeological perspective, a hint of biblical prophecy. So the film is The Dragon's Prophecy. It's in theaters, really starts 1 week from now, October 6th, October 8th, and then October 9th in streaming. And thedragonsprophecyfilm.com, that's where you get all the tickets, thedragonsprophecyfilm.com.
Dinesh, let me just kind of go there for a moment and talk about, some will call it the far right. I don't call them the far right. I call them the anarchist right, who have gone so far over to the right that they're now kind of exuding a lot of leftist propaganda as it relates to Israel and the Jews specifically. I'm thinking of Candace Owens. I can name others. What does this film do as it relates to explaining the Bible in terms that are understandable to people on that side? Though, of course, on that side, they're not going to understand anything. I mean, this is just such an anti-Jew mentality. And, to me, the far left is low-hanging fruit. We know about that. But I think we should talk about what is a real growing threat, which is the anarchist right in this country and the anti-Semitism coming from it.
The film deals with this head on. So, for example, I have the little clip from Tucker Carlson where he says to Ted Cruz, well, how do you know that the Jews of today, he calls them like Netanyahu's Jews, are descended from the ancient Israelites? How do we know that when God made this promise to Abraham, it somehow carries through to Jews living in Israel today? So not only do we discuss this at a very fundamental level through a biblical lens, I pose the question straight to Netanyahu. I say, well, what's your answer to that? And Netanyahu gives a fascinating answer. He talks, for example, about how Jesus was Yeshua. Jesus was Jewish. His dad was Joseph. He was a Jew. The Bible was, of course, written in the Holy Land. When they talk about the temple and Jesus was lost and his parents found him in the temple, there is the ruins of the Temple Mount right in the middle of Jerusalem. So all of this, I think, is very cinematically and engagingly depicted in the film. It's not afraid to take on not just the left-wing critique, Israel as a colonizer and so on, but also the right-wing critique, which I think you're right, is a gathering storm and is a real concern.
Yeah. Dinesh, great to have you as always. Where can people get more information about the film?
Just go to the website, thedragonsprophecyfilm.com. You can get movie tickets, and you can also sign up for streaming and DVD.
Let's go get it. Go get it. Dinesh, always great to see you.
Dinesh.
Thank you, sir.
A pleasure.
All right. Coming up, a new report says the government needs to do more to stop theft of SNAP benefits on EBT cards. We're going to break that down and see what the audit reveals and who's really accountable. That's next.